Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm BaboonBanana99, and today we are diving deep into the best life staff leveling builds in New World Aeternum. First up, let's talk about the life staff. It's New World's only main healing weapon, offering a blend of AoE and burst heals that make it required for all types of content in the game. But why choose the life staff for leveling? Here are the top reasons. First off, the life staff has insane survivability on top of the high sustain. With the life staff, you don't need to rely heavily on potions compared to other classes, allowing for a smoother leveling experience. It is also the longest weapon to level in the game, so getting it out of the way early saves you time and frustration later on in your character progression. Now let's break down the two best leveling builds with the life staff paired with the Void Gauntlet and life staff paired with the Flail. The Void Gauntlet scales with focus just like the life staff, making this pairing essential. It offers high damage, AoE cleave, and crowd control, making it perfect for PvE and dungeon content. As a solo build, life staff and Void Gauntlet excels in sustainable AoE heals and comparable damage to other DPS classes. The Flail also scales with focus, allowing effective pairing with the life staff. While it lacks the raw damage of the Void Gauntlet, it compensates with stronger CC and debuffs. With the complete overview done, let's get into the nitty-gritty of all of the abilities and the best builds to run while leveling, starting with the life staff. Here is the main build you want to run while leveling. It consists of a full AoE healer playstyle with Sacred Ground, Orb of Protection, and Beacon. It is a playstyle that's going to allow you to swap to your secondary weapon and do damage while your healing spells do the work for you. You don't have to sit there and cast your healing abilities, you just plop them down, swap to your other weapon, and start DPSing. Starting with Sacred Ground, this is your main healing ability. It boosts all of the other healing abilities by 50% when your allies stand inside it. You want to drop this ability before you start AoE cleaving the mobs down with your secondary weapon, and you also want to place it under your tank when you're doing dungeons. Now, Orb of Protection is also pretty cool. It provides a healing over time and also a fortified buff, reducing the damage taken by you and your allies. And lastly, Beacon. This is another AoE healing ability that attaches to enemies or allies. When Beacon is used on top of the Sacred Ground, it also increases the effect by 50%, so make sure to place your beacon on a Sacred Ground for the maximum healing potential. The ideal goal you want to aim for with this build is going to have Orb of Protection running on you at all times, so use this ability off cooldown, and then place your Sacred Ground and beacon on the ground when you have a big clump of enemies to kill. Here is the Void Gauntlet build. The Void Gauntlet is the king of Empower, applying rend and maintaining high uptime on abilities thanks to passives that reduce your cooldowns. This allows you to continuously cast Scream and Oblivion, providing maximum dungeon support and efficient open world leveling. Our main DPS ability, Void Blade, offers high critical strike damage, fast light attacks, and applies a debuff called Disintegrate, lowering mob defenses and increasing damage for you and your group. Petrifying Scream allows you to control mobs in dungeons and during quests, while Oblivion ticks every mob's HP in a clump and grants Empower to you and your group. With the Void Gauntlet, you really want to play around your Petrifying Scream. As soon as the enemies come to you in a clump, you want to scream the enemies to lock them in place your Oblivion down, and then start light attacking with your Void Blade. Every Void Blade swing is going to reduce the cooldown of Petrifying Scream and Oblivion, so you can keep chain casting these abilities off cooldown. You really want to lock these mobs down and have a 100% uptime on Oblivion. With the Void Gauntlet, you can also achieve infinite mana by holding your right click, making it superior to the Flail in this aspect. You never have to use mana potions. You can continuously stay in the open world questing infinitely. Lastly, the Flail. The Flail focuses on supporting and buffing your team with Fortify, Empower, and weakening the enemies with Weaken. The built-in Weaken and Fortify through your abilities make you and your group exceptionally tanky. What it lacks in raw damage of the Void Gauntlet, the Flail offers a decent cleave and AoE capabilities with Arcane Vortex, making it another solid choice for players who want to play with the Flail. Proper attribute allocation is crucial for maximizing your build's effectiveness. Here's how to allocate your attributes while leveling. If you are starting off with Life Staff Void Gauntlet, you want to primarily focus on intelligence early on, and if you're playing the Life Staff Flail build, you want to primarily focus on strength early on. As you progress to around level 17 to 20, you are going to have the option to join a faction, turn on open world PvP, and start doing some dungeons. This is when you are going to respec out of your intelligence and strength and focus more towards focus. From levels 20 to 65, you want to prioritize about 150 focus to maximize your outgoing healing bonuses. You could also allocate 50 to 100 points to Constitution to increase your tankiness and HP. If you want more damage with your secondary weapon, you can also put in some intelligence and strength. I would recommend to have at least 150 focus minimum. The outgoing healing bonus is going to serve you very well while questing and doing dungeons as well. Effective rotations and strategies can significantly enhance your leveling experience. Here's how to optimize your gameplay. Starting off, we are always going to pre-pull every single mod pack with Orb of Protection so we don't have to use it mid-pull. That's going to keep us tanky and have a small heal over time. Next up, we are going to pull the mobs with the life staff. You should pull around 4 to 6 mobs depending on your comfort level. You are then going to cast your Sacred Ground and your beacon on the floor. You're going to swap to your secondary weapon, cast some abilities, and cleave the mobs down. down. You never want to single pull mobs in this game. Continuously bring all of the mobs close to you. You have so much cleave in your kit, so you really want to abuse that. Healing dungeons early on consist of a very similar playstyle. Cast Orb of Protection off cooldown on your group, sacred the clump of enemies your tank is on, and then make sure that beacon is inside the sacred for maximum heals. Alright, so now for some essential tips as you embark on your leveling journey with the life staff. Make sure you stay up to date on skinning while leveling to craft food at your camp. While we are healers, stocking up on food is always beneficial. You'll never know when you need it. Make sure you loot every chest for health potions, mana potions, regeneration potions, and materials like life staff charms. These can be used for life staff crafting at the end game and sell for a lot of money. Avoid using your life staff alone as it is a very slow leveling weapon. Always utilize your secondary weapon to maximize your XP gain as well. Also, you only need to tag a mob or hit it once to gain experience credit. If there is a lot of people near you questing, hit the mob one time and hopefully you can get a quest drop. And don't forget to respec back to focus whenever you feel like healing or doing dungeons. Choosing the right gear is essential for optimizing your build. Here's what to focus on in the early game. At level 17, you are able to join a faction, Marauders, Syndicate, or Covenant. You want to pick a faction early on and join it as fast as possible. Once you join it, the faction shop will open. In the faction shop, you can prioritize the faction gear for its high health and gear score, which reduces your damage taken and increases your damage dealt. You might come across some gear in the open world or from quest rewards. On the life staff, the best perks to prioritize are Blessed and Refreshing Move. Luckily, in the faction shop, Refreshing Move is on the life staff. For the Void Gauntlet, you can focus on perks like Keen, Vicious, Refreshing Move to significantly boost your damage during quests and dungeons. And similarly with the Flail, Enchanted, Refreshing Move, Vicious, Keen, all of these perks are going to help you level quickly. In New World Aeternum, you have the option to wear light, medium, or heavy armor. As a life staff player, you only want to wear light armor. The reason being is because in light armor, your outgoing healing bonus is increased by 30%. In medium armor, you have no outgoing healing bonus. And in heavy armor, you actually have a negative outgoing healing bonus. Sticking with light armor is going to be your best option moving throughout the entire game. And lastly, gems. You might come across a lot of gems early on in the game, or you might see some on the trading posts. These gems give your character an insane advantage in terms of damage and survivability. Early game, they might be a little expensive, but I would recommend putting some gems in your armor and weapons. On your life staff, you want to put on a diamond for that healing bonus, and on your Void Gauntlet, you either want to put a malachite or an opal, and for your armor, onyxes or opals will also do just fine. And that about wraps it up. I covered pretty much everything you need to know to have a strong early game and lead into a nice end game. If you want an in-depth look about each of the life staff abilities, you can check out my last video I uploaded yesterday. It is a brief overview of the life staff as a whole and what the weapon can do. I have more content planned for the life staff, especially for the mid and end game portions of New World Aeternum. In the early game, there's not too much to cover, but I'll make sure to keep you all up to date if there is something to know. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and peace, baby.